Howdy, hello, H2Os, Roller Bros, and Walter Clemenses alike. I'm your guide, Q. Welcome back to r/AmITheAntagonist. And to answer Walter's question, I don't know which way I said it, aunt or aunt, but I use those both interchangeably, and I believe they are both correct. But with that said, let's get into the content. Alright, this one sounds like it's going to be spicy. Also, apologies, my nose is sort of stuffed, so sorry if I sound a little bit different. Am I the antagonist for telling my friend that she isn't as attractive as she thinks? A few nights ago, I was hanging out with one of my friends, and we decided to order food through DoorDash. About 30 minutes later, I get a notification that the delivery guy is approaching with our order. Without a word, she dashes out of the front room. I'm confused, but the doorbell rings, so I go answer it. Once she hears the door close, she saunters back into the room, grabs the food from me, and starts pulling out items. Still confused, I ask, what was that all about? She then tells me that she doesn't like to be seen when delivery guys are at the door because they always hit on her. She then shows me a group of saved messages from her delivery drivers/service workers asking her out. Apparently, it's a common occurrence for her. I was shocked, and we get into a conversation about how inappropriate it was for them to do that. At some point in the conversation, she says, "Yeah, that's one of the drawbacks of being really pretty. I mean, if I wasn't so obviously out of your league, then I'm sure you would hit on me all the time." I laughed because I thought she was joking, but she kept pushing this point, so I responded with, "Honestly, you're not that attractive. A lot of guys are just desperate, and they probably think they have a chance with a girl who looks like you." She tried to laugh it off as well, but the rest of the night was pretty awkward, and we haven't really spoken to each other since. Alright, so let me know what you think in the poll that's gonna pop up in the top right corner of your screen and in the comments, but I honestly think we need to just throw all of the, her getting hit on by delivery drivers to the side. Yeah, sometimes people hit on somebody because they're super hot, sometimes people hit on somebody because they seem gettable and they're just sort of attractive. The bottom line is, this dude's friend pretty much called him ugly, or at least said that he was obviously not in her league, which is a pretty serious insult. So I feel like him talking about her attractiveness at that point is not really that much of a stretch. He's just giving back what she gave to him. She gave an opinion on his attractiveness, he gave an opinion on hers. It's pretty 50-50. So I guess you could call this an everyone sucks here, but I would lean more towards this person is not the antagonist, because he didn't start this whole talk about attractiveness, she did. Okay, am I the antagonist for blowing up at my stepsister at her comments about my lost weight? My stepsister, 20 female, and I, 24 male, have never gotten along. Her mom and my dad got married when we were 6 and 10, so we've known each other for a long time. In my stepmom's eyes, she could do no wrong, and anything bad that happened was pinned on me. My dad is a complete pushover, so he would always fall over to whatever my stepmom would say. When I was about 15, I started gaining weight. My GF broke up with me, woohoo, high school romance, I started failing some of my classes, and I quit baseball. I started to stress eat and ballooned up from 125 pounds to 162. I guess at that point she decided she was cooler than I was and started mocking me and making fun of me, calling me names like fat ass and chubster. I would constantly go to my stepmom about it, and she would tell me she's just teasing, she's so much younger, why are you getting upset? I got pissed off to the point where I just started avoiding her and locking myself upstairs in my room with a bag of chips. At 22, I hit 270 pounds and knew I had gone too far. I was way past my weight limit and bordering on obese. So as a New Year's resolution, I decided to start losing weight. I cut out all junk food and started hitting the gym. Around this time, my stepsister started to overeat too. I don't really know why, but she gained over 30 pounds. She was still constantly belittling me about my weight, which admittedly was way over hers. By the end of this year, I lost 120 pounds. It felt amazing. My stepsister now weighed more than me. Over Christmas dinner, all the aunts, uncles, and cousins were complimenting me on my weight loss, telling me how I looked so much better. My stepsister just sat there smoldering. Every time someone said something, she'd add, "He's still pretty big. Well, he didn't get rid of that face roundness. Maybe he'll lose a little more around that gut." It was infuriating, and I was getting angrier. Now, here's where I might be the antagonist. Finally, at her last little snide, "Look, you'll just put it all back on, why do you even bother?" I flipped out. I yelled, "Why can't you just be happy for me instead of getting on me for every little thing?" She said back to me, "Defensive much?" "Oh, I'm sorry, did I hurt your 200-pound feelings?" I asked her. I probably should have stopped there, but I kept going. "Calling me a fat ass? Look at your plate. You've eaten half the table, fatty." She started crying and left the table. My stepmom screamed at me, saying just because I was insecure, I can't take it out on everyone. I said, "Oh, so now you're talking, not in the past 10 years of constant fatty and lard ass and porker." "But you're way older," she whined. I left the table and went home. I woke up today to 1,000 messages from my stepmom, my dad, and my stepsister. They were saying I wasn't welcome to their house until I apologized. I'm not going to. Am I the antagonist? Edit, thank you so much everyone for your comments and the awards. I've never felt better about myself than now. And yes, I understand that 270 pounds was not bordering on obese. I'm 6 foot, so I was pretty damn obese. I called myself bordering for a few years after getting fat. It made me feel better than classifying myself as morbidly obese. I'm honestly, the thing that I'm most angry about is that your dad and stepmom just don't seem to understand the situation whatsoever and are completely enabling your stepsister's bullying behavior. And that's all this stepsister is. She's just a bully, and reality hit her like a ton of bricks, and she deserves absolutely everything that's coming to her. And I'm definitely somebody that believes in people redeeming themselves and getting better, but, like, to be honest, like, people that bully other people as kids, like, they do permanent damage to people. Like, sometimes, you know, bullying can toughen somebody up if it's a certain type of bullying, but some bullying can really give somebody a complex for their entire life, and, like, this woman does not seem to be improving whatsoever, and she's 20 years old, so hopefully she has a change of heart. Hopefully you can communicate with your dad and stepmom and get them to understand your perspective, because I think everything you said was absolutely justified. You're not in the wrong at all. You totally had carte blanche to just go off on this chick. Am I the antagonist for telling a boomer couple to move out of their house? My wife and I bought a house a couple of years ago. It's a decent-sized yard and we have a couple of chickens. This is Los Angeles. We have 3 boys, 6-year-old twins, and a 9-year-old. They are kids. They are loud, not screaming loud. They love playing in the yard and playing at the park literally across the street. My next-door neighbors complain all the time about the noise level in the yard and at the park. They are this boomer retired couple with kids my age, mid-30s. Actually, most of the neighborhood is like that because so few people, especially with kids, can afford a house in that area, so it's a bunch of retired boomer snitches with Ring and security cameras at their front porch. No, nothing ever happens here. And they designated my neighbor as the block cop. The funny thing is, the kids are hardly home. They're in school most of the day and they have sporting practices / games on the weekend. I tried to reason with them, but they feel that because they lived in their house for 40 years, that we have to follow their rules as their next door neighbors and keep quiet. I have no sympathy for them. These are the people who bought their sizable home for $40,000 in the 80s, and if adjusted for inflation, it's like buying the same house for $125,000. But it's a house in LA, so it's more like $1 million. My wife and I make good money, but our mortgage is astronomical. We are working much harder than our neighbors ever did. Yesterday, our neighbor came to our door and complained again about our kids being loud. Not too loud, just loud at the park, per the neighbors who lived across the street from said park. Then he lectured me about my logic of moving to a quiet area with loud kids. If that wasn't bad enough, he suggested that my wife and I look at homes by the ocean because you don't have neighbors to the west of you. Houses by the ocean are like millions of dollars, lol. I asked him how I would do that, and he said that wasn't his problem. So I told him that he should move out of their house and move to the ocean where he won't have neighbors. I caught some flack for being rude to an older person, but I don't think I was. Okay, I want to start off by saying that the lack of self-awareness of the original poster here is absolutely staggering. The way that he just, like, dismisses every concern and action of his neighbors is insane. Like, he calls them snitches for having home security when they have $1 million houses. Like, that doesn't seem that weird to me. And then he talks about how, like, oh, me and my wife work way harder than they ever did. They bought these homes for $40,000. Like, you don't know any of these people. You don't know how hard they've worked in their lives. Like, you seem to just think that you're better than all of them because they complained about your children. And I wanted to additionally add this comment from Tech Leopard because I think it sums up a lot of what I wanted to say. You're the antagonist. You seem to have a problem with older people since you can't talk about them without calling them boomers. Secondly, if he's their neighborhood cop guy, he's probably getting a lot of complaints, and it's not just him. It's the whole neighborhood, and most people want him to talk to you rather than do it themselves. He's probably the bold guy. Third, it takes a lot of volume to be heard from a different lot through a wall and possibly over interior ambient noises like TV, to be heard by a population of people that may honestly be suffering from hearing loss to begin with. There is nothing wrong with defending your kids, but you're also responsible for making sure that they don't bother people around you, and clearly they are bothering people. You know your kids are being loud, so why not, parent them and tell them to reel in the noise a bit? They are clearly screaming if they can be heard from a park. They can absolutely learn to play and have fun without ear-splitting screaming. And honestly, upon initially reading this and hearing that the problem was kids being loud, I thought that I was going to come to the conclusion of everyone sucks here, or maybe even not enough info, because we really don't know how loud the kids are being and if it's unreasonable for the neighbors to complain. But the dismissive tone of this entire thing really does not give me faith in this OP, so I don't know, I would probably give it You're the Antagonist, leaning towards that, but let me know what you guys think. This video was made possible by producers / H2 homies like Tasha K, Catco, Sub to Hoover, Cast, Kaija Bay, and the others that you see on your screen here. If you'd like to join and become a member, support the channel, you can hit that join button in the description or right below the video, and it'll give you some more details on what each of the tiers will get you. I hope you all are doing fantastically out there. I really hope that things are going well in your lives. You're taking care of yourself and the people around you. I'll see you very soon. Skate on to the best of your abilities. Make sure you're drinking more water, and peace out, Cub Scouts.